And welcome back into Cullman today. I'm Debbie Wood, and with us this morning, our guest is Jeremy Easter. Jeremy is here this morning to share all about his life, what has taken place over the last few years, and where he is today. And I think, my goodness, if you're not blessed by today's show, I don't think anything will bless you. Jeremy, I've got to start out. I look at you. I have three boys. I have three wonderful boys, two wonderful brothers, three precious grandsons. And you are just you look like a typical, normal, sweet young man.
You could have had a good look in, that would have been okay too.
Yeah, and good looking, absolutely, and good looking.
I'm just kidding with, yes ma'am.
Just sweet and just typical. I mean, you're just you're not a whole lot different than my boys. I mean, a couple of them have got this, one doesn't, but what in the world, what happened, and how many years ago did it happen?
Well, it was odd. I talk with folks all the time and do church services and things like that, and I counseled with students for years before being up here in North Alabama. And I tell people all the time when I'm doing church services, some people say that they had a reason or a time when it happened, or an excuse, whether it was a bad home life or something like that. But I really didn't. My brother and I both, neither one of us had an excuse
Just
at all.
two in the family, two children.
My brother and I, he's a year and a half younger than me.
Okay. And how old are you, Jeremy?
I am 35.
35, okay.
Yeah, and we were raised in church. I'm going every time the doors were open. I got Christian parents that are as sweet as can be, and just went down that bad road.
You were telling me that your mother's very naive, very sweet. Your dad is the same. They don't drink. They go to church. How were you in high school, in junior high school? I've always heard that if you can get your kids out of junior high school and senior, and graduate, that you pretty much have made it. But did all this take place? Did you start going down the wrong path after school, or what happened?
Well, my younger brother, I tell this from the pulpit when I'm preaching all the time, he actually got in trouble in first grade for stealing his teacher's clock.
Really?
Yeah, and just own up from that. He was always into trouble, this or that. He went to juvenile for a few months, even when he was in the 7th grade. And I would always tell on him to my parents, and they would, get him in trouble, and my friends would mess with me about that and stuff. And I thought that was my duty to tell on him.
Right.
And then just one day, I had gotten to where I didn't so much tell on him, but we were riding around and they were smoking some marijuana, and I just said, "Let me hit that." And the brother and a couple of friends.
Okay.
And they were shocked. They thought I was kidding, and they weren't even going to pass it to me.
Was it peer pressure then to you?
I guess so, and just kind of, you get around.
To sort of fit in with them,
yes,
maybe?
ma'am.
Or maybe did you feel guilty for getting him in trouble all those years? I mean, he got himself in trouble, folks, but for you reporting it or telling it, so you wanted to just sort of be his buddy? I mean,
I guess so. Just you're young, and just kind of maybe want to fit in and things like that. But then when I tried it, I tell you what, I thought I'd found something I loved. It was, I was straight into it.
How in the world did you kids, you were young, how did you have money to do that? Just steal?
Just, my parents would give us a little money here and there, and then my brother did steal some when he was younger. I mean, he ended up going to prison for a while.
Did he
even.
really?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how in this world, it had to have been devastating. I always say God knows what you can stand and what you can take and what you can deal with, and He's been so good to me with my boys. How did your parents survive? During that time, how did they make it? Just turn to God.
Yeah, just turn to God, and they had a really, really rough time, and they're both, you can imagine, pretty happy now. Both of their boys, doing well now.
Don't you know? All right, now at the time that your brother was in prison, what was going on with you? What were you doing in your life?
Well, when he was in prison, he went to prison in I think it was 1999, and when he went to prison, if anything, I even went downhill more. I got 3 DUIs the year that he was in prison. I would show up in South Alabama after being in clubs all night long, taking ecstasy and things like that, and show up to see him for an hour visit in the mornings. He had to be there early, and
wow.
I was really messed up. And he came straight out of prison, straight back into a whole group of friends that were just doing drugs and everything, and he didn't really miss a beat, wasn't really sober much after prison.
Really? So it didn't help?
No,
because
ma'am.
he went right back with the same
Yes,
group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
So important that we choose such good friends. What, we talked earlier before the interview started that, I said marijuana, and of course you just mentioned ecstasy, other things. I mean, things that when I look at you, I think I I can't see you doing that. I mean, I know you're not proud of it, but you tell it today to try to help other people.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I got into, I was saying earlier, I'll speak at churches and all, and I'll tell my testimony, and I'll be talking to the group, and I'll say, you know, you can kind of look at me and tell I'm not a totally skinny guy, and you don't have to say amen, just kidding around with them. But
right.
yeah, I was doing meth and got into shooting meth, and I mean, I was just rail thin, just tiny, because I got so messed up on it, and then on all kinds of other stuff too, methadone clinics, taking Lortabs, shooting Oxycontins, everything. My brother's the same way. Both of us, we would kind of get into the same stuff. So, but drinking was always there as well. I was always real bad at drinking. I had several DUIs.
And they understand that any of those combinations can kill you. I mean, one or the other or together. What in the world?
I had 2 bad seizures actually in 2000 and 2001 from taking Xanaxes and being on the methadone clinic as well, and then running out and stopping them, and I ended up in the hospital for about 5 days with the second one, and I mean, even that, I come out and I was right back on stuff within a day or two from coming out of the hospital. Yes, ma'am.
So hard to believe. Did you not ever, I mean, I can't imagine, I don't like going to the doctor, but I cannot imagine doing that to yourself. Did you ever think that that you would, that you could contract something by those needles? Or
I guess it really, when you're just on drugs so bad and just wanting it and stuff, you don't really think about that. You know, by the grace of God, I've you know, been to the doctor, and I'm totally good. Have a beautiful wife, you know, now and everything. So
all right, so tell us, did you hit bottom? How did you come out of that and get to where you are today?
Well, my brother had gone through Alabama Teen Challenge, which is a 12-month Christian program.
After prison.
Like a rehab. Yeah, he had gone to prison, come back out, was on drugs and all for a couple years after that, and had gotten into trouble breaking in several homes. He had been up for a while on meth and stuff, and him and another friend had broken several homes. And he gets charged with several felonies. The judge said it's not a question of whether you're going to prison, it's a question of how long. And so God worked it out where he could go to Teen Challenge, and when he went in Teen Challenge, I had heard he was getting his life turned around and doing well, but I was even worse. I mean, I went downhill worse. And then in let's see, September of 2006, my parents have gotten to where they didn't pay for my apartment anymore by them almost handcuffing my mom because she was just so sweet. But I got into a fight with the guy I was staying with, come to my parents' house in September of 2006. I had gone to Daystar Church once or twice just to visit, kind of to keep my parents happy and all. Well, that morning, I come to their house with nowhere to go, and they asked me, did I want to go to church? And so I went with them, and I just remember whatever the pastor preached on, Pastor Jerry, whatever he preached on that day, I just remember feeling so worn out and so tired from 12 straight years of addiction that I just went up to the altar and got on my knees and just said, God, I can't live like this anymore, and I've not touched a drug since.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yes, ma'am.
That day, your mom and dad, they were overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
With emotion. I mean, they had to be in grief and all those emotions together rolled into one.
Yeah, I can remember after that, you know, feeling like God had done something in my life, and then going out to eat with all these church people who I really kind of still felt a little odd about. I mean, I'd just been shooting drugs 2 days before.
Oh my
and but I mean, they were all sweet to me. It wasn't that, but just being around all those folks. But then just coming back to my parents' house that evening and just feeling like, you know, having hope for the first time. And as days went on, days became weeks, weeks became months, and then here we are 7 years later.
Wow. So. And your parents are right there with you to love you and continue to take care of you and do for you. And how did you meet your wife after that? How many years after you were totally clean did you?
Well, it was, I guess, I'm trying to think, it was probably maybe, let's see, maybe we had met and said hello at church and things like that, but maybe about 5 years later, her and I went to, in a group of us, went to an Alabama football game, and we were all hanging out, and but after that, we began talking on the phone some.
Wow.
She quickly found me very irresistible.
Oh, I love it, Jeremy. That's wonderful. It was the day after the tornado came through.
Three days after, still with no power and everything.
Without power. So this year will be 3 years, and they were married. They were in Good Hope. And,
by my brother, who was the goofy brother. Yeah. Yes,
the
ma'am.
brother, because now let's talk about him just a second. Tell us what he does now.
Well, he went through Teen Challenge back in, I think it was either 2004, 2005, and after that, he began working as an intern at Teen Challenge, and then a counselor for a while. And now he's over the Selma Center in Teen Challenge, and he's the director over that, and has a wife and 2 kids.
Oh,
so.
wow.
God is good.
God is so good, isn't
God,
he?
yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness, that just makes me want to cry to think about you two, the 2 of y'all, but also what your parents had to go through and how blessed they are now, and how proud they must be.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk a little bit about you, what you're currently doing, and then we're going to take a break in just a little bit. When we come back, we're going to learn all about Teen Challenge. I know you've heard about it, and it is in our state. It's not in our county, so to speak, but I mean, we can access the program from this county. But tell us what you've been doing for the last couple of years.
Well, I started out working as a counselor for a couple of years, and then the last few months I've just been working as kind of a representative, which is meeting with families, helping people into the program, and speaking in churches and doing things like that.
Okay, so you're very involved in your church.
Yes.
And you work with Teen Challenge, and also they have a family business. His parents, and I don't think the brother's involved in it, but it's just you and your family, and they do real estate appraisals, actually.
Yes, ma'am. I do the computer work, put the appraisals in
Jefferson County.
Yes, ma'am. In Jefferson Shelby.
So that had always been there for you, even when you were going through those trying times, terrible times. It was there. You could have, if you had been straight, you could have worked in that family business.
Yeah, I tried to work with them for a while, and they were, like I say, they're a little too nice, and I worked with them for a while, but. I would get to where, I would be drunk the night before and didn't show up to work. And finally they were like, you're not working for us till you get straightened up, and which was a good thing.
Sure.
So
a little tough love there. Were they tough at all?
No, not at all. Really.
Not at all.
They're wonderful people. My mom is just, she's so sweet and so hopeful to a fault almost.
Right. Oh, wow. Do you hug her all the time and tell her you love her?
I do. That was the first thing God gave me back, was my relationship with my parents, because like I say, I moved in with them when I got saved, and now we're and her and my wife are friends as well. And my dad as well. We're just friends now, and it's neat to have that back, because I have good parents. So,
absolutely.
yes, ma'am.
Can you imagine sitting there and you see he and his wife and his mom and dad somewhere, and they're eating, and you don't have a clue? That's why I always say you don't know what anybody else is walking through.
Yeah. I've had several people say that to me, saying, when I see you and I know your story, and I know you're telling the truth, I just don't see that. And I'm like, trust me, I was pretty terrible for a long time.
I don't see it either. I've always wondered, well, how does that happen? The kid just a bad egg, or are the parents so nice that they don't see it and they just allow it to happen, or are the parents not involved in the kid's life? So it can be anything, can it?
Yeah. And my parents, they were as involved as could be. Like I say, we were a close family. It's just, and they both, each of them had a parent that struggled with things. But yeah, just one of those things.
It just happens, doesn't it? Well, we're just so proud, Jeremy. We just feel the presence of the good Lord with us this morning, and,
yes,
and in you, and it's just such a blessing to meet you. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to learn all about Teen Challenge and how you might want to participate and be a volunteer, or who knows what. We'll be back.